Hi, welcome to update number 10 on the Lackawanna cutoff. New Amtrak stations in New Jersey. Hi, I'm Chuck Walsh, and we're here in Newark, New Jersey, the largest city in the state of New Jersey. And we're going to be looking at the stations that are being proposed by Amtrak, which was just released, the specific stations now that seem to be very similar to what we proposed in our last update. Now, where we are right now is roughly about a mile from the Northeast Corridor, which is Amtrak, as most people would think of it in New Jersey today. That's going to change. Now, the Northeast Corridor goes from Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Washington, sort of like a southerly type of route to take. Well, this Amtrak route, which would be from New York City to Scranton, Pennsylvania, would be going west. And this here would be the first stop on that line from New York to Scranton. We're about 10 miles from New York City, downtown Manhattan. And we thought we'd just give you a tour of what the stations look like along what would be the new line. I'll just point out you have the Newark light rail here, and of course you have New Jersey Transit service. And in fact, this service would use much of what is New Jersey Transit already. So this is our first stop. Let's head to our next stop at Summit. Here we are at Summit, New Jersey, 10 miles west of the station at Newark. Big commuter stop, New Jersey Transit, end of the Gladstone branch, and would be stop for Amtrak between New York City and Scranton. Okay, so we're done here. Let's move on to our next stop, Morristown. Here we are at Morristown train station, another Amtrak stop, new one. We're 10 miles roughly west of Summit. Maybe sort of see a pattern emerging here in terms of where the stations are being located. George Washington slept here, he really did, up the road a piece here. So, this is Morristown, another Amtrak station that will be coming in the future. Our next stop, 10 miles west at Dover. Here we are at Dover Station, 10 miles west of Morristown. This is the end of electrified service on the Morristown line, New Jersey Transit service. Trains also proceed west to, well, Port Morris, where the connection to the Lackawanna cutoff occurs. And all the way up to Hackettstown. So this is where the pantograph on the dual mode locomotives, most likely on Amtrak, will come down. And from here, it'll be diesel operation. So let's go. There's one more station in New Jersey to look at. It's 25 miles from here at Blairstown. Here we are at Blairstown, New Jersey. We're 25 miles west of Dover, 65 miles roughly west of New York City. This is the final station in New Jersey, located on the Lackawanna cutoff. Blairstown is the home of John I. Blair, was named after him. He built the Lackawanna Old Road, which the cutoff replaced. And Blair is also known as a major builder of railroads around the United States. Very wealthy man, by the way. So, where do we go from here? Well, after this, the New York to Scranton line would go west into Pennsylvania. So what's the first stop in Pennsylvania? Well, that would be East Stroudsburg. East Stroudsburg is roughly about 20 miles west of here. West of East Stroudsburg would be the stop at Mount Pocono, which is about another 15 miles west of there. West of that would come Tobyhanna, which is about 15 miles west of Mount Pocono. And then finally would be Scranton, which was about 20 miles or so west of Tobyhanna. Now, people have talked about going west of Scranton, but Amtrak is not committed to doing anything west of Scranton at this point. That's a pretty good project as it is. But people have talked about going west of Scranton, maybe Binghamton and beyond. But this is the Amtrak project as has been proposed. So that's been our quick tour of New York to Scranton service, concentrating on stations in New Jersey. That's the end of update number 10. Hope you look forward to update number 11.